0.
Thank you for calling the Oregon Department of Agriculture. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 Pacific time. For land, water, pesticides, and fertilizers, press 4. For the pesticides program, press 1. For the fertilizers program, press 2. For the confined animal feeding operation program, press 3.
Oregon Department of Agriculture, Samantha speaking.
Hi there. I'm working on a project where I'm collecting like information about farming, and I wasn't sure if I clicked the right button to get to the right place. I noticed that it said something about pesticides, and a few of my questions were about rodenticides. Is this the right place to talk about that?
Yeah, so this is the pesticide program, but in regards to that, you probably want to speak to one of our investigators, but I could definitely transfer you over to one.
Okay, yeah. My main thing was the main thing I'm wondering is just like what the regulations are, like what the laws are on a couple different topics. Is that is that who I would talk to just know what Oregon's laws are?
Yes, correct. Yeah, I
Awesome.
just handle the licensing for applicators. So as far as like the rules, regulations, legality, kind of stuff like that, that would be taken up with an investigator.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, if you could send me over to somebody, that'd be great.
Yeah, give me 1 second here.
All right, thank you.
Oregon Department of Agriculture, this is Andrea.
Hi there. I might have just got transferred to you. I called because I had some questions for a project I'm working on about the regulations and laws involving rodenticides.
Okay.
Am I at the right place for that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if people ever just call to ask questions out of curiosity or if it's usually farmers calling
All
for.
the time.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. I didn't want to put anybody out, but I was curious. It's something I'm kind of looking into further, and I'd actually love to sit down and talk with somebody at some point about it. But do you know in Oregon are there any specific laws when it comes to rodenticides, or if it's something commonly used?
It is something that is commonly used. That being said, there are laws and regulations about it. So rodenticides are, all pesticides are regulated by both at the state level and at the federal level. Currently, the EPA is going through and reviewing a bunch of different pesticides and doing some assessments to make sure that they're still good to go and all of those things. And if additional precautions need to be put in place on the label and things like that. And I actually know that they just did I think they just had a comment period on kind of their first draft assessment of a whole class of different rodenticides. So there may be changes coming to that. But essentially what it boils down to is if you're making applications with rodenticides to other people's property, there's licensing requirements, and then also, what was I going to say? On all of the rodenticide products, there's a pesticide label. So that actually is considered, like, the label is the law. So you have to follow all of the restrictions and things that are put on whatever rodenticide label that you are using.
Okay. Do you happen to know, do pretty much all farms use rodenticides?
I do not know that.
Oh, okay. There's no stat on if there's like certain types of farms that use them more often or anything like that.
So that's not something that we keep a statistic on, no.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. Trying to think. Now, is it similar to how at like a restaurant, once a year, twice a year, somebody will go in to make sure everything's up to code? Are there people that go to farms to see if they're using rodenticides correctly?
Not as okay. So let me back up. So
Okay.
for our program, no, unless we get a complaint or a concern. So we're not doing routine audits on farms. And I want to be clear, farms are not the only ones that use rodenticides. So rodenticides are used in people's homes. They're used around commercial buildings. Like rodenticides are not solely being used by farms.
Oh, okay.
So that being said, for our program, and I don't know if there's other programs that might be checking that more frequently, but for our program, no, we don't have like a check-in. However, if we get a complaint or a concern, we do investigations into that. So our kind of job is to investigate potential illegal uses of pesticides. We also do some routine inspections for record keeping. But really, it boils down to what our charge is making sure that we're investigating any potential misuses of pesticides.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Do you know, just a couple more questions. Sorry. Do you know if part of the regulations involve the amount, like the humaneness of it? Like, do you know if like in the past rodenticides maybe would take a while to go into effect and like they're getting better and better at it being like kind of a quick death for the rodents? Or do you know much about that?
I do not.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so the regulations as far as the approved rodenticides, is that based on if the chemicals would be harmful to humans, and that's why there's specific regulations on it?
So that's actually a good question for the Environmental Protection Agency.
Okay.
They're the ones that do all of the reviewing of the rodenticides and do all of the risk assessments and things like that, to basically registering the pesticides and allowing them for use.
Okay. Is that somebody, after I ask my last question in a sec, is that somebody I could get transferred to, the Environmental Protection Agency? Or would I just call them separately?
You would just call them.
Okay.
So I'm with the Oregon Department of Agriculture. Let's see. But I can see if I can find you a contact.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. And my last question, I think I know the answer to, but I'll just ask it anyways. I had a question about a procedure. I don't know if it happens in Oregon called ratting, which involves taking out rats in fields, but it's not a rodenticide or pesticide thing. So is that something that wouldn't be connected with your group, if that was a thing that was done?
Is it like a physical mechanical thing?
Yeah, it's actually it's kind of a wild thing. I've seen a video on it, but where like farmers will go through the fields and they'll have dogs, and then the dogs kind of scare like giant rats out of the fields, and then they just like take pitchforks to them. And I just wasn't sure which states allowed that kind of thing or not, and so.
Sure. So
that might be environmental protection as well.
No, potentially, but it also might be Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Department Fish and Wildlife. Got it.
Thank you for calling the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. All calls may be monitored for quality assurance.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll call them. I do have one more question for Fish and Wildlife, but I don't know if it would be specifically for you if I got to you by clicking a hunting button. Is there a way to be transferred to ask a question about There's this thing referred to as ratting. I don't know if it's legal in Oregon, but it happens in crops where at the end of like a harvest year, farmers will take dogs through like cropland, and then the dogs kind of scare rats out of the ground, and then they just the dogs or the hunters will just kill the rats as they're coming out of the ground. And the Department of Agriculture said that that might be your guys' department as far as like knowing if that's legal in Oregon.
Well, if it's rats, it wouldn't be a protected species, so I would think there's not a legality issue. I don't know if it's a practice that's done here or not. I mean, I'd have to refer that back to agricultural practices more to
Oh, okay.
Department of Agriculture because, yeah, I mean, rats are, I mean, anything that's an unprotected species per Oregon law I mean, if they're doing that, they're doing that. And, I mean,
Oh,
unless
okay.
it's
Yeah, I
protected.
didn't know which things are protected or not. So would it be like rodents in general are not a protected species, so like squirrels, chipmunks, rats, mice, that kind of thing?
Well, squirrels, there's a hunting season on, so they would be protected. But like mice, obviously, you don't have to get a permit to kill mice in your house. Same with rats. I mean, any of that kind of stuff is a rodent. They're not going to be protected. If you look at hunting regulations, and let me get to the page that actually goes, there's definitions. So, unprotected mammals and birds in Oregon means European starling, house sparrow, Eurasian collared dove, rock pigeon, and any mammal species for which there is no closed seasons. Which commonly unprotected mammals include coyote, badger, gopher, mole, mountain beaver, marmot, porcupine, skunk, cottontail, blacktail, jackrabbits, rats, mice, possum, nutria, and weasels.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for that information.
So yeah,